Welcome to another edition of our Efficiency in Business series in association with Dracia. I'm joined today by Ross Barker from Dracia. So we're fielding questions that we've received from our customers and looking at the best solutions to address those questions. So I've got one here, Ross. It takes hours and hours of time keying purchase invoices into the Sage purchase ledger to the point where I'm going to have to employ an extra person. Is there something that would help me address that?
Yes, yeah. So as an extension of our document management piece, we also have our invoice recognition module. And essentially that's designed to automate the entire purchase invoice process. We can provide a direct email link to the portal, so you can ultimately present this to your suppliers, invoices at abclimited.com, or if you are still receiving them into a specific member of the team or to a group email, you can very simply drag and drop those documents across. More than happy to show you if you've got a second for me to do so, Darren. I'll just share my screen. So I've got a number of documents within my Outlook, as you can see, and I've got a couple of purchase invoices here that I can, as I say, just very simply either save locally and then browse for when I've got a particular time in the week that I process my purchase invoices, or as they come through, I can just very simply drag and drop them into the portal. As easy as that. Upon selecting that invoice, then I just click recognise, and the system will do just that. Now, again, if I am browsing locally for that document, I can do so, but as I say, I've just dragged and dropped that. I receive the majority of purchase invoices by email, as I'm sure you would as well. But just click on the recognition tab in the top right hand corner. That essentially takes me through to those purchase invoices that need my attention. Now, if we haven't got any particular approval workflows in place, or you're happy for the invoice to be verified and then posted and archived directly to Sage, it will update that status accordingly. A little bit like this one here. So that was posted and archived directly to Sage 200. Now there's a number in here that require my verification. Now that will either be because the system has spotted something that it didn't like, or I may have manually configured that so that I need to verify some information in there. Okay, might be something to do with the nominal, for example. If it does hit one of those approval workflows, it will give me the status update of sent for approval, and the approver will be notified by email that there are invoices waiting their approval. You can see the difference between me dragging and dropping those documents across, me uploaded by an admin, and those that have been emailed directly in from your supplier. But if I just pick one of these particular invoices and look to verify that, just open up that invoice here, and essentially it's going to break down that invoice into 5 key areas: header, line level, footer, project analysis, and nominal analysis. It's going to take all of the information that it reads from this document, populate it into the box on the right hand side for me to just double check and verify if I want to before posting and archiving. So if I just take this example invoice, you can see it's pulled through the supplier reference based on that VAT number. Now nowhere on this document will you see the supplier reference number DON001, and why would you? Your supplier doesn't need to know their supplier reference number in your Sage dataset. It's also pulled through all of the other information you might expect it to, such as invoice number, invoice date, and PO. Now on this particular invoice, we have multiple purchase orders on the same invoice, and that's absolutely fine. The software can certainly cope with that without any problem. Now nothing appears in red, so it's happy for me to proceed. If I just jump into the line level tab in that case, and again, I'm just going to check the quantities match here. Nothing's appearing in red, so there's no discrepancies there. Just to show you what would happen if I did change that data, or there was an error in the data for any reason, you see it automatically glows red. It doesn't like it, and it will give me an explanation as to why it doesn't like it. In this case, the quantity on the invoice 2 is greater than the quantity quantity expected. So I'll just pop that back to 1 and we're happy to proceed. Wherever it's reading the data from, I can click into that information and it will highlight it on the actual invoice as well, so you can be sure it's reading the right detail. Footer level information relates to any discounts, incidental costs, net and gross. This particular invoice doesn't relate to anything project accounting, and then we've got the nominal analysis tab here. Okay, so all I'm going to do then is just click commit, and once I've committed that invoice, I can then work forward into my next jobs from the list, and it's as easy as that. If I just go back into the portal, you can see that that status update has now changed to recognised before the system checking whether that hits a particular approval workflow or not, before either being sent for approval or posting and archiving directly to Sage. We can put another one through the system as well, and just see what this one looks like. I did close the previous window, so apologies, it's just going to log me back in again. And we'll work through this one at kind of real speed. If you were happy with the software, you were a user of it for some weeks or months, you would literally just look within each of the tabs to make sure everything is okay, that nothing is highlighted in red. I've manually configured this for me to check the nominal. That's okay. Once I click return, that one's committed. So that's literally in real time how quickly you would go through any of those invoices that do need your verification. You'll notice that the status update is already updated with this particular invoice that we processed a moment ago to posted and archived to Sage, and that unsurprisingly will appear now back within the ledger for me to access. If I just jump into, I think it was 334, 335, wasn't it? So we'll just jump into Donaldson's extrusion here and just open up, and I can see that I've got that document that's now archived against that transaction on the ledger, 17th of the 6th, and here is a copy of it, visible against that transaction in Sage 200, and that's all been processed. I can now delete this document from my portal as well, because ultimately it's already archived, so I could delete that and move on to the next one. The next one, as you can see here, has been sent for approval. It's hit a particular workflow that I've got set up. So if I just jump into my approvals tool, this is accessible from a mobile app or a desktop, and once I click into this particular dashboard view, I can see that I've got my invoice here that needs my approval, created on the 17th of June today. You can see my approvers initials here. I can have multiple approvers. If that's the case, you'll see multiple approvers initials in here. Once I click into this particular invoice that needs my attention, I can see that it's pulled through all the necessary information. It's got an audit history of when it was created, when the email was sent to me, notifying me that I've got an invoice that needs my approval, and when it was viewed by me as well. I can also see a copy of the invoice in question. Okay. And then I can approve or reject it. If I'm rejecting it, I do need to leave a reason why. If I'm approving it, I don't, quite frankly. I can set up new approval workflows very, very easily. I'll just click into my workflows here. And once I click back into the portal, you can see that one's already posted and archived to Sage as well. So it completes that process quite easily. Anything else to add on that one, Darren, or is that okay?
So the approval part of the system, is that an optional extra, or is that included?
It's included. It's included free of charge as well. So you can have as many approvers within the approvals piece as you need. I think the most I've ever seen is about 60. You can have as many rules configured within the approvals piece as well, and yeah, no additional cost for that at all. Completely free.
Fabulous. Just one other question.
Yes.
So we saw the portal with the documents in. If they're So the first one that we looked at had an issue because it couldn't recognise the supplier. So you then looked at the VAT registration number, and that then associated it with the supplier.
Yes.
Once you've done that once, is that going to be it, basically? So the next time that comes through, it will recognise it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it did pick up the name. In this case, it was Donaldson's Extrusions. It did pick up the name, but actually, it populated the supplier reference number based on the VAT number because that's a unique identifier. But you're exactly right. You know, once the system has read something once, it adds it to the back office essentially. So it's got you know, countless ways that you might have seen an invoice with invoice number on it, i.e. invoice number, invoice NO, INV, NO dot. So it picked every time it reads a document, it's essentially learning from it as well.
Cool, thank you.